Come in.
Good day, doctor.
Good day.
Actually, I go by Stia now.
You know, I'm new into this. And when I looked into your file, I realized your name is written as but really sorry.
Not to worry, doc. I can help. Well, me and a few expert advisors. You're about to receive a crash course on transgender health.
So I define transgender simply as anyone who does not identify, either completely or partially, with the sex that they were assigned at birth, and cisgender, by contrast, is someone who's not trans.
A trans man is somebody who tells you that they are a man. Their body might look like they are female, and they might have other female characteristics, but if the person says that they are a man, they are a man. And the same for a trans woman. A trans woman is somebody who tells you that she is a female.
And I suppose traditionally how we've conceptualized gender or seen gender is there being two different genders. You do get transgender people that identify as male or female, and that also kind of fall in a binary gender identification. But there are many transgender people or gender non-conforming or non-binary people that don't necessarily identify as purely male or purely female. They might identify as trans-masculine, so somewhat more masculine, but maybe not completely male in the traditional sense, or trans-feminine, somewhat more feminine, but not completely female in the traditional sense.
So, transgender is like gay?
Not necessarily. You see, gender and sexuality are not related. You see, gender is who I am, but sexuality is who I'm attracted to. Transgender people can be straight, like me. I'm only interested in men. Or they can be gay, bisexual, pansexual, or anything else.
I think in kind of popular language there's often a conflation between the two, that one's sexual orientation and one's gender identity are the same thing, but they're actually two separate concepts that don't necessarily influence each other.
If you are heterosexual, you know, like you would be a man who would want to be sexually intimate with women. You know, if you are homosexual, you would want to be intimate with people of the same sex, and if you are bisexual, you would want to be intimate with people of whatever sex. You know, so that's how I understand sexuality to mean, which is completely different, I think, to gender and gender identity, you know, so to speak. If my gender identity is that of a man, it does not necessarily mean that then I should be heterosexual and want to sleep with someone of the opposite sex.
You know, we kind of lump everyone under this LGBTQIA umbrella, and underneath that you've got terms that refer to sex assignment, you've got terms that refer to gender identity, you've got terms that refer to sexuality. There's a lot of stereotypes, and a lot of them are rooted in antiquity. You know, these are harmful ideas that have kind of been passed down from generation to generation, and that we really need to work actively to dispel.
I think I see here. Transgender people have misalignment between their identities than the gender the rest of us see them to be. My God, this must cost them a lot of emotional and mental distress.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
So, if I can understand what makes people to be transgender, I can cure my patients and make them feel better.
No.
The idea that something happened to trans people in their development, in their childhood, to make them trans, this is a very harmful idea that needs to be dispelled. And really the idea that being trans is in itself some kind of a disorder needs to be dispelled.
ICD is the World Health Organization's way of classifying diseases, so it's the International Classification of Diseases. At the moment we are using ICD-10. ICD-10 talks about gender dysphoria, and the new version will talk about gender incongruence, and it's been taken out of the mental health chapter into a separate chapter on sexual health. It's been a very important decision by the WHO to move gender incongruence out of the mental health chapter, Thereby, the WHO says being trans is not a mental illness.
A common misconception or common myth is that being transgender is a phase, that it's just something that somebody's going to go through and it'll be around for a couple of months or a couple of years and then it'll fade out. Generally, after puberty, kind of gender identity is something that is relatively fixed and is something that can't be changed. Research has shown that attempts to change a person's gender identity actually kind of creates more difficulties for a person, and the way for a person to live healthier is actually to be able to fully express and kind of be kind of identified in their fitting gender identity or their identified gender identity.
I think, you know, by starting to ask ourselves why certain people are transgendered, maybe we should also be asking ourselves why, you know, certain people are cisgendered. You know, so I think different scientists will come with different, you know, ideas and postulations. Could it be chemical, could it be hormonal, environmental? But at the end of the day, like I say, every patient's journey is unique, you know, and it should be respected as such. And I don't think at the end of the day, when I'm approached by a transgender patient, I would want to first find out why they are transgender in the first place.
In a broader sense, many transgender people transition to become more of themselves, to kind of develop themselves and to reduce kind of any distress or any gender dysphoria.
So you see, Doc, I know you want to question and understand everything, but the important thing is for you to be understanding. You see, transgender people are nothing new. They don't need to be cured, they don't want to be cured, but they do need access to healthcare, like everyone else.
Thank you, Sia. Now I understand. Can we now start with your checkup?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good.